When we were out at the pond checking things out, we saw a deer, and I thought that was pretty cool. I'm pretty new to this drone, and I had never seen a deer before, and so I was really curious how the deer would react. So we got some really cool footage here of the deer, and worked to kind of get closer. As I started to review the footage, I kind of wondered. I got me thinking, like, oh, is it legal to use a drone for doing this, for scouting? And so I did some research online, and obviously I'm not a lawyer. I don't have any professional qualifications to be giving advice, but I did do quite a bit of research, and I just wanted to kind of share that as we try and get closer to this deer here. So here in Kansas, I started with the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks, and they have kind of a FAQ online. There's a link to that in the description, but specifically they state that the use of a UAS for hunting is prohibited. Both federal 16 USC 742J1 and state 32-1003 statutes prohibit the use of an aircraft to take wildlife. They do say that using a UAS for scouting on lands not owned or managed by KDWPT is permitted. But I did want to dive into some of the statutes a little more. They reference in that statement Federal Statute 16 USC 742J1. And so I looked that up, and that's specifically the Airborne Hunting Act statute. A.1 of that states that any person who, while airborne in an aircraft, shoots or attempts to shoot for the purpose of capturing or killing any bird, fish, or other animal, or uses an aircraft to harass any bird, fish, or other animal. So that's prohibited underneath that statute, but it doesn't say anything as far as scouting or just watching wildlife. It does say harass, but as you can see, I'm getting really close to this deer here, and it does not seem to be harassed one bit. But then going on to the Kansas state statute of 32-1003 states that it is unlawful for any person, unless authorized by the laws or rules of and regulations of the secretary, to take any game animal or fur-bearing animal from a motorboat, airplane, motor vehicle, or other water, air, or land vehicle, unless they're permitted to. And then provide or receive information concerning the location of any game animal or fur-bearing animal by radio or other mechanical device for purposes of taking such bird or animal. So then I went on to see take is defined as to harass, harm, pursue, shoot, wound, kill, molest, trap, capture, collect, catch, possess, or otherwise take or attempt to engage in any such conduct. So with all of that being said, I don't know that there's anything in these statutes that it references that specifically prohibits scouting, unless you go under the definition of take and say that you are harassing the animal if you are using this drone. However, I think it's interesting because that would apply to both public and private lands, and the KDWP specifically says that it's okay to scout on private land. So for me, that brings up the question of, can these drones be used for scouting on public land as long as they are operated outside of public land? So it's actually the FAA that controls airspace, and so if you launch and operate a drone with under line of sight conditions and you are launching that from private ground, I don't know that there's anything that would prohibit you from flying over public land and doing scouting, although the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks does say that that is not allowed. But that'll kind of wrap things up, and as I zoom out here, just kind of watch the deer walk away and get one last good overview of our entire pond, which is dry, but hopefully come this fall we will get some rain and be able to shoot some ducks out here.